Hey, it's Movie Junkie John back again, and today I'm with actor, wrestling expert, and trauma superstar Vito
Oh,
Trigo,
that's a
and
big
we're
one.
talking about the best wrestlers turned actors. So, what's up, Vito?
Not much. Just I'm ready to talk about this subject because it's wrestling. It's wrestling. It's wrestling.
Yeah, man. So, when did you figure out? I mean, you've been a wrestling fan forever. When did
Yeah.
you kind of figure out? Oh, wrestlers are also in movies sometimes. When did that click for you? Was it really young, or do you remember that moment?
Um, now you mentioned to me, Suburban Commando. When
Okay.
when when the Hulk, when Hulk Hogan was playing, was like that. He was a space guy. He was like a space bounty hunter or whatever. I barely remember the freaking plot. All I
Mhm.
remember is Hulk Hogan was in it, Christopher Lloyd was in it, and then a young Undertaker was in it,
Yep.
playing one of the bad guys. That is when I kind of figured it out a little bit. That you was like, oh, you know, not not Rocky 3, and not what's the other one? No Holds Barred.
No holds
Like
barred. Yeah. Yeah.
there, I felt like it was kind of like my young mind kind of still put like it was Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
not Hulk Hogan playing a part. So I gotta go with Suburban Commando because I was like,
Yeah. That's honestly, that's probably the same for me. Suburban Commando. I remember seeing that. I remember that was the first time I saw Undertaker out of character,
yeah.
and that was just shocking. Like seeing him not play Undertaker, I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, what is?" How in my mind, I thought, like, how did they get him to do this? He does it. He's dead, right? He can't do this, you know.
But it's one of those things where it's like you had to like really like look at it and be like, wait, is that him? Is that him? But yeah, that Suburban Commando had to be the movie where I was like, oh, you know, they aren't just wrestlers all the time. They do movies.
Right. Yeah, I did some research on this and I went through a big list, kind of looked up all the wrestlers who are in movies, and it was shocking. Like I thought that I knew all the wrestlers that were in movies. I was wrong. This shit has been happening since like the 1930s. And there were
Well, it makes
some
sense.
there were some wrestlers who have been in a ton of films that I've not seen. Um I got a list of about 10 guys that I thought really probably were the best actors who are wrestlers who kind of converted and changed over, or maybe just were in a movie, right?
Mhm.
Um, and there's a lot of exclusions here. Like one of the
Mm.
big ones is El Santo. I didn't include El Santo because I've never seen any of El Santo's movies. Although on IMDb, El Santo's been in like I seriously think it's like 100 movies. It's crazy. So
Well, well, the cultural differences, is like much different. Like because like even like Japanese wrestlers,
mhm,
they have they inherit characters and play them.
yeah.
And then they put through all these different mediums of like comic books, cartoons. So it's like there it's a little bit more like maybe the mythology of wrestling a little bit being kind of like expanded upon.
Yeah.
Where they are superheroes and they are folk. Like they're out there. For the man, for the peoples. So yeah, El Santo.
Yeah, I think the number 10 for me is, and I don't like to give this guy credit because he's kind of a jerk now, but I
Yeah.
had to put him in the list is Hulk Hogan. Simply for Suburban Commando and Rocky 3. And I really think Rocky 3 is probably where he actually was acting more. Like I think that the Thunder Lips role was a pretty cool role. I don't know if you would
Yeah.
agree with that, but
Well, no, because that was the when you watch it again out of the young mind,
mhm.
you actually see that he's actually breaking kayfabe in the ring afterwards. It's like, hey, what was your problem? It's like, that's all part of the game. It's all part of the show. We're part of the game. And he's like, hey, let's take a photo. It's like, hey, it's like charity hurts. It's like, heh, heh, heh. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was one of those things where I don't know. I don't know if it was maybe just the way they shot it, because I think Stallone directed that, but
Yeah, yeah,
it was so. A lot of Hulk Hogan's movies are just so campy, and cheesy. But that was the one where it actually felt like he was in a movie. Like you actually just were like, "Oh, this is a real character." Like
yeah.
maybe it was just the production value, but yeah.
Well, I think there was like because there was still an element of protecting the business,
Hmm.
an element of it. So you had to like kind of like the except for that one moment at the end there, they were still kind of having to like let's treat this as like wrestling is wrestling. And that's why like you had like Stallone was bumping around for Hogan, and Hogan was doing the big. If anything, it was a big demo reel for Hulkamania. You
Yes.
know, it was like who's this guy? Like I mean, even like the way they filmed the leg drop going down and everything. It's like this was very. It was like, hey, this is Hulk Hogan. You know, who would go from AWA to back to WWE. What was it? Yeah, WWF. I think that's how it happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
got him. Yeah.
he left WWE to do the movie, and
Hmm.
then was in AWA for a while, and then
Yep.
went back to WWE because the movie came out and it
Absolutely.
was like, oh, it was like Thunder Lips is over. He's over.
He's over, brother. Yeah,
He's
it's
over.
funny. Vince Senior fired him for this movie because he
Yeah.
wanted to do it, but this movie is kind of what got him on Johnny Carson and got him
Well, yeah.
going. So it kind of circled back and got him back into everything, right? So
Well, I think that this in a weird way laid down the groundwork for why they let wrestlers go do movies.
yeah,
Is to basically like promote yourself, sell yourself, so they can come back to watch wrestling in a way.
yeah,
Either
yeah,
through
completely.
personality or promotion or anything like that, because the WWE will always have their fingers in there somewhere, you know.
Hands
So,
down. Yeah, so my number 9 is, I only know one movie this guy ever did, but it's kind of legendary. It's Andre the Giant,
oh,
and it's because of The Princess Bride. And I personally think in this movie he does really well. I know a lot of people think he's not really acting that much in the movie, but I really do. I
oh.
think as a character, I think he's acting. I think he's good in it.
No, no, no. What gets across is it's Andre's personality.
Yeah.
Like, come on, him and Indigo. I mean, come on, that's you
Classic.
got to have personality. You got to have an idea of chemistry to be able to get those scenes off. Where he's like, you know, Indigo. He's like, yes. I mean, that's their back and forth in the movie is just so. It's I don't know. It's very because he wasn't a brute. You
Right.
know, he was like, I mean, I could crush you. That would be very fair. Let's do. And when he's like, he was like, ugh, a gun, ugh,
Oh
ugh,
yeah, when he's on his
oh,
back.
oh. I was like, it's just something about it where I'm like that. It's so endearing. Its personality comes through. It's like this because what was it? Andre was such an attraction.
Yeah.
That he has to be that the charisma is it's there. And that presence. It
Hmm.
translated even in that one role. Because you got to have the because think about it, he was all over the world, everywhere he went. He was, he wasn't just because he was a big guy, because there were a lot of big guys out there,
Yeah.
but he had the charisma. He knew how to sell himself. He knew how to present himself, and it translated. And though it's only one role, but hey, it's Princess Bride, and it's like he's there. You
And
know,
that movie doesn't work. Honestly, I feel like if he's not in that movie, it doesn't work as well. I feel like he makes so much of that movie in a way.
there was so much flavor in that movie
Yeah.
that if you took that out, it'd be like there'd be just be something missing
Hmm.
because him and Indigo and the whole like what oh god what can't I remember his name Wilson Sean yeah Wilson Sean right or Sean Wilson
Oh,
R- r-
Inconceivable. That guy. Yeah.
inconceivable.
Yeah, that guy. I forget his name
Yeah,
too.
all that
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, like, there's all these little flavor. There's just so much flavor to that movie. You take that out, it's just gonna feel off. I mean, it might work on some levels for a lot of people, but it would just be off. So
Yeah, it was really brilliant casting. So I'm kind of shocked. I placed this next guy at number 8, and I thought he would be higher, but I think it's just the limited roles he's been in. So it's Jesse Ventura. Um, I love Jesse Ventura's roles in movies. I love, Predator, Running Man. I think he's great in them, but I just think he never really had a chance to like actually do anything substantial. So that's kind of why he's lower on the list. I don't know where you would place him.
I'm trying to. I mean, I don't know, because Jesse was just like that. If you like want to bring it to wrestling, he's a high spot actor a little bit.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
see
yeah.
him, and you're like, "Ooh, Jesse!" He does something memorable, and then he's just kind of gone. He's never really there
Right.
throughout the entire movie, or that I've seen. I
Yeah.
thought I was actually thinking about it when I was thinking of the list, and I was like, all I could think of was like Captain Freedom from Running Man.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing was like he was so good in Running Man that you kind of wished you saw more of Captain Freedom.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is about the gladiators. It's like get out of here. You're done. It's like right there. So,
Well, they kind of at the end of it, it's weird because they do the fake ending with Captain Freedom where Arnold, like, he kills Arnold, but then he
yes.
leaves. But you never really get like that battle with him and Arnold. I always thought that was weird.
Yeah.
They never just paid that off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because it was like that deep fake they had going on.
Yeah, it was deep fake. It was literally deep fake before deep fake. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
uh, it's like I was like I was trying to think there was something else that like something where Jesse was in. I mean, Jesse Ventura was just like in such like random stuff.
He was in
With
Demolition Man, a small part.
yeah, he was one of Wesley Snipes' henchman guys.
Yeah, just a small little role. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the one that kills Benedict. I think he's the one that he's like oh no, Klepto, not Benedict, Klepto.
Oh,
It's like, would
yeah.
you kill this fool, please? He's like,
Oh, that's
uh,
right. Yeah, he is. He's the guy
yeah.
who does it. Yeah.
And then he was also in Batman and Robin as one of the prison
Yeah,
guards
he was.
who
I
just
forgot about
talks
that.
smack to Arnold, and then Arnold bangs his head. So it's like in a weird way, Arnold got the last laugh. He's like, "I got you, Jesse. I got you. Our last movie together. Bah, I banged your head."
Yeah, he really is that's a perfect way of putting it, a high spot actor. He kind of just he had bit parts, but you remember them. But it was
Yeah,
like that's kind of I don't know if it was just that he I don't know if it was that he didn't want to be a bigger actor or if he just enjoyed those small things. Maybe that was more of what he wanted to do. I don't know. But
I think he just enjoyed the paycheck without having to kill himself.
that's honestly probably the truth. He didn't have to
And
take
health
bumps.
insurance. And health insurance.
Yes, yes. He got the SAG insurance. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I got in there and they got me the business. Hey, right there. I went to the doctor the next day. Hey, I got insurance, baby. It's all good.
That's true. So the next guy, number 7, I love this guy. I met him once, and I put him in this for one movie. It's Roddy Piper, and it's because of They Live.
Wait, number 7?
Yeah. So the only reason he's that low is because he only had like really because so you have They Live and Hell Comes to Frogtown. Love both of
Yeah.
those. But They Live is such an iconic role, but I feel like I never saw him do anything quite as good as that ever again. Like I feel like Carpenter knew how to direct this guy. He really knew how to tap into like what this guy could do.
Well, if you think of Rowdy, and Rowdy was such a personality, he had, what he made up for, physically speaking, as a performer, he made up with personality and the gift of gab
Yeah.
because he could talk.
Hmm.
So if you think about it, you take someone like Rowdy and you just kind of turn the volume down a little bit, and then he just fits into film acting. Because I mean, because if you look at a lot of wrestlers turned actors, it's the carrying the entire film that's the issue,
Right.
you know. And then you got Rowdy, who's just charismatic. You can just look at him, you can just watch him.
Mm-hmm.
Turns down the volume a little bit, and he's there. He's in the pocket.
Yeah.
And then you have like John Carpenter, who's no bullshit, who's probably just telling him like, I need this from you, I need that from you, and just let's go, you know.
Yeah.
And there's also like Rowdy had a book of unused promo stuff that he gave the Carpenter
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't
and
know
said, if
that.
there's anything in here you like, we can use it. And that's where the I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass came from.
Nice.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. Like Mama don't like tattletales. Boom. And just like with Jesse, they can deliver a line that's memorable.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I mean that's why it's like when I think of Rowdy, I usually like kind of I would put him higher up on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Solely on They Live, even though he has had like that guest appearance on Always Sunny, where
Yeah.
he's kind of playing it for laughs, but uh, I can understand why putting him at 7 because when you really think about They Live is the only thing that really pops up.
Well, I think unfortunately, I think it's hard because as talented as he was, he never had another director that could put it. He probably never found himself with another script or director that could really show his talents like that. I think
Yeah.
you put him in the right direct movie, it would have been amazing. I just think, he kind of did so many of those low budget, like Billy Blanks type movies, which are fun. I mean, I
Oh
love
yeah.
all those things. They're tons of fun. Oh, doggy. Doggy cameo.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just think he's one of those guys that I think the potential, man, there could have been so much more. But unfortunately, sometimes it's just timing, getting the right director or the right script,
Well,
the right thing.
also Rowdy was a bit of an odd duck.
Hmm.
He liked to spend time with his family, and
Hmm.
Ripley, you just need to back off right now.
Ripley, she wants to talk about Roddy Piper.
Yeah. He was an odd duck. So I think like the idea, the probably the filmmaking grind of being
Hmm.
on a movie set for like maybe 4 to 6 months at a time.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe he's like like, hey, I just want to be home with my family because he would do that in wrestling. He would just disappear. He would just leave for a while, then come back.
yeah. He would. He would take a lot of
Yeah.
time off for sure.
So I think that could be another reason why he's like, hey, yeah, I got my wrestling money. I got I mean, because he lived out like in like the country somewhere, like or the mountains. I think it was like Montana. I think it was Montana.
Yes,
Somewhere like where it was like secluded.
yeah.
You know?
It was either it was somewhere up north. I don't remember where,
Yeah,
but it was like yeah. I remember that specific. He wasn't like an LA guy at all. So,
yeah.
so number 6 is probably in my top like 3 favorite wrestlers, and
Oh.
I just love this guy. It's Terry Funk, and
Ha!
he was also kind of a spot guy with acting, but
Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. What role did Terry Funk do that puts him over Rowdy Piper?
honestly, like I
Don't say
really
Roadhouse.
no, I love Roadhouse, but have you ever seen Paradise Alley with Stallone, where he's the wrestler?
Oh.
He
Oh.
plays like this bad guy wrestler in the movie, and he is like for somebody who never had acted before then, he is so good in that movie. Like, is just a villain. Like, he totally understood the movie business. I mean, he
Now,
always played bad guys, but there was just something it seemed like he really got like what was needed of him.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But remember, Terry came from the deep end to kayfabe era,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, where they were playing the character on and off in between towns at the bars. Somebody challenges you, he's like, "You better beat their ass, or you're not coming to work the next day." You
Right.
know. So I think it was like I think the for a guy like Terry, just having to go in, just kind of like do in front of a camera and not actually like take the bumps and not hit yourself. It probably was like an easy day at the office for a guy like Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so, like you said, he is so believable. And I think he was one of those guys that I think he loved keeping people guessing. in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Like he always, I know that Cody Rhodes told that story about how when he was like, I think he was a kid in an airport. He's with Dusty, and he's like going through the airport, and all of a sudden he just hears "You egg sucking dog," and it's Terry Funk across the room yelling at Dusty in public, and it was just keeping the gimmick. Like he never, like it was just like all business with that guy. He always kept the gimmick, you know. But
Or was that reminded me of a thing I heard with JR,
mhm.
where JR was in a bathroom stall and he overheard Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk came in and you were using the urinals,
Yeah.
and Terry goes, he's like, "Hey, Dream, yeah, baby, what if you could sneeze, cough, and come all at the same time?
God.
Wouldn't that be great?" Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. That'd be really great, baby. Yeah, yeah, baby. So I always think of whenever I hear Dusty and Terry, I always think of Jim Ross eavesdropping.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a funk thing for sure. I just a lot of people talk about like Punk and like Pillman and all these guys who kind of blur the lines of kayfabe and making you believe. Funk was like the first guy that did that. He just lived. I really think he knew how to push people's buttons and he liked doing it. And he knew that he obviously knew it's a business, but it's one of those things where he knew like, I have to be believable. Like you might think this is fake, but but you're gonna know that I'm a crazy person, right? I don't think he
Well,
was crazy. I just think he was really good at like being that person.
there's everything about his style lent to that,
Yeah.
you know, where he would have a bit of a clumsy style, a little bit, where you're kind of like,
Yeah.
wait, is that supposed to happen? Is this
Hmm.
going on? The clumsy style makes you question whether or not what you're watching is actually real, because you're
Exactly.
like, wait, that's not supposed to, and also he would, he would legitimately make you question whether or not he was a madman,
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
Hmm.
So it's like middle aged and crazy.
Oh, he literally was. So number five, I think I put this guy in mainly because of one movie, even though he's done a lot of roles. It's
Mhm.
Kevin Nash, and I know he was in Magic Mike. He's in The Punisher, but I swear the Longest Yard remake. That's why I put him in this because he was fucking hilarious in that movie. Like I felt like he stole that movie, like every scene he was in.
The greatest, once again, it's the charisma, and also the knowing the assignment would probably be the word. This is his character. This is what he's got to do,
Yeah,
because he was a prick in the movie, and then he had to go through the whole like, he's like, it only works if you play both sides.
yeah,
So he understood the assignment and he does it. It's just, I mean, that's just like ring psychology.
yeah.
It's the ring psychology. It's his personality. It transfers over.
Hmm.
But he's a charismatic dude. I mean, he's a guy that like you can like, come on. I, I can't remember a match in WCW that was great, but I remember him going like, like he's like big sexy, or like him just being on the mic and him just being around
Yeah.
is like all personality, which kind of showed you a little bit that's the wrestling. There is an element that is personality. There's an element that's character and being able to project that and connect to the audience.
Oh yeah. And in that movie,
Yeah,
there's so many wrestlers. It's funny, like I think
yeah.
a lot of guys did good in that movie, but he just like was better than all of them. I thought he was better than Steve Austin in that movie. Like he's
Well,
just
well,
so.
no, well, Steve. I mean, Steve was Steve Austin for so long
Yeah,
that it's hard for him to be anything else but Steve Austin.
that's true.
Because
Yeah.
like now if you put maybe like Hollywood Blonde in between Hollywood Blonde and like the Ringmaster Steve in there, maybe we would have seen a different performance.
Yeah.
But he's stone cold. I gotta protect the gimmick. I gotta protect the image. I gotta protect the. It's kind of like in a weird way. Even though he does allow himself to do some goofy stuff, but it's still got that stone cold edge to it.
You think in a way he's always kind of walled off to
Yeah.
everything because of that? I wonder. Yeah.
Oh, but Kevin Nash, a great Kevin Nash role. Even though it's like so small, is him and John Wick.
Yes. Yeah.
That little interaction, which actually it gives so much to the movie, where it's not like he's just gonna kill him. It's like because it gave to like the overall, you know. Once again, he knows the assignment because even though like he's Kevin Nash, he's 7 foot tall, he's almost 300 pounds of muscle, and
Hmm.
there's Keanu, surfer dude who knows how to kick, you know. He's like, because in his head, you probably find like I could smash you, bro, but he's still like he knows the assignment. He's like, I gotta sell this guy, but at the same time, there's a relationship there, and it's conveyed in that little moment.
Hmm.
He's like, thank you, Mr. Wick. Or even when he mentions like, did you lose weight? He's like, 60 kilos. Oh, cool. All that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's Russian in it, isn't he? Isn't he like
Yeah,
Russian or
yeah.
something? That's cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, man, that's a good role. Yeah, so this guy number 4, I thought about him, and I don't know if this is cheating because technically he was an actor first. It's Tiny Lister, Zeus. So I looked at his filmography. Okay, it's crazy. He was in
Debo,
Fright. Yeah, he
Debo.
was.
You're bringing up Debo.
Well, okay. So he was in Friday, Armed and Dangerous, The Dark Knight, Jackie Brown, Runaway Train,
Dude, The Dark
Beverly
Knight is
Hills
his best
Cop.
role.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has like been in every movie imaginable. And I just thought to myself, like, holy shit, and I don't know if this is cheating though, because technically he was an actor first, so he
Yeah.
only wrestled for a little bit, but man, like everything I saw him in, he was believable. Like in The Dark Knight, like his best role, he's so believable in that scene.
Well, I don't know if you once again, I'm just gonna bring everything to wrestling terms. It was a
Yeah,
swerve because in the Dark Knight, it's like you don't have the ability to take a human life, but I do, and it's just like, hey, and it throws out the window.
give it to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
awesome.
It's just
Yeah,
like, nope. But then when they all went back, it was a nice little visual moment with Nolan. They
yeah,
basically they went to like to pray. I was like, oh, so they're probably like a reformed group, or they're born again or something like that, where they're like, hey, we're gonna sit here and pray because hey, what else are
yeah,
we gonna do?
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's hard to put him in there, but I had to just for the roles he was in. I was like, holy shit, because like there's a lot of like Runaway Train. I'm like, that's crazy. I forgot he was even in that. Like so many big roles or so many big movies, and I think maybe he just had that look right that everybody wanted to hire him because he was just so big.
But I mean, you could argue that he may have been Terry Crews before Terry Crews. That big guy that gets put in there that can be menacing, but then also can be a little comedic too.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of is.
Yeah, but Terry Crews is much more versatile and much more like
Oh,
had other things going for him. But
oh, Terry Crews is great. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Oh, so the top 3. This is kind of where it's hard to. I really thought about it, and I kind of ranked these in order. And number
can
3,
I
I know
guess?
it's
Can I
who do you
guess?
think?
Number
Who do you
three,
think number 3 is?
John Cena.
So
Damn,
number 3 is The Rock.
that's fair.
Uh, and I put The Rock in there because obviously The Rock is The Rock. He's great at being The Rock. He's been in tons of movies. Um, I know he's about to do a movie called The Smashing Machine, which is going to be like a very
Yeah,
dramatic type role. And he's been great. Like, the other guys, The Rundown, Pain and Gain. I mean, in Moana, kids love him.
yeah.
But it's hard to put him higher than 3 because I feel like as good as Dwayne is, he's never gotten that role yet that really. I'm hoping this new movie is like this for him. He hasn't gotten that role where he really gets to like act. You know, it feels like he's always kind of playing The Rock
Well,
in some way.
let me break this down for you. When you like, because right now he wants to be like the next Arnold, or the
Yeah.
next Sylvester Stallone, or the next like that big action star, that kind of like blockbuster.
Hmm.
But when you think of Sylvester Stallone, you think Rambo.
Right.
When you think of like Arnold, you think of the Terminator.
Hmm.
Right now, The Rock, it's just The Rock playing something.
Right.
There's nothing like you go back to like we're not thinking Dwayne Johnson is playing there. It's The Rock is acting,
Yeah.
and we're kind of like we're there having fun with The Rock. There's no thing like you can really think the biggest thing I think besides Moana
Hmm.
and playing Maui is Jumanji. But that's still not, that's not a big action movie. That's a comedy. It's an ensemble piece. It's he's part of the puzzle there.
Yeah.
So Dwayne, like I said, Dwayne hasn't found that thing that will always be he'll always be attached to it. Because then no matter how many, if they do another Rambo, you're still gonna think Sly.
Right.
They could do like 10,000 Terminators. You're still gonna be like, I'll be back.
Do you think The Rock is and it's kind of a weird question, but do you think in a way he does the movies he does because it's easy for him, or is it just a paycheck? Like, do you think he wants more, or do you think he likes the idea of like being a typecast type actor? Like, I wonder what that's like for him, you know?
I think it might be the wrestling psychology aspect of it,
Yeah.
where he wants to give the audience what he thinks that they want.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the movie, I mean the popcorn movies. Come on, what was
Right.
it? Rampage. I
Yeah.
mean, he's
Yeah.
co-starring with a CGI monkey. You
Right.
know, I mean, it's just like movies that are supposed to like they're popcorn movies. He gets in there, he says some one-liners. I think the one movie where he didn't have a whole lot of it like lacked his charisma. I can't remember what it was. It was like the building one. And oh, what was it? What was that? What was that one?
Are you talking about the one in California, the earthquake one, or is it a different one?
No, it's a different one. That's San Andreas.
So that was San Andreas. Yeah. 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 You're
Yeah, that
right.
was San Andreas. But there was another one where he was just like, if you don't have him like being funny, it just feels a little off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know what that would have been. Huh.
Trying to think of it. I saw it in theaters too. That's the weird thing. But like I said, it's a popcorn movie, so it's kind of disposable.
Right.
That right there. I can't. I know like Pablo Schreiber was in it, and but I just can't think of
Hmm.
and Nev Campbell too. Nev Campbell was in that one. It's
Oh
slowly coming
God.
back to me.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Nev Cam. Yes, I can find this. I know what you're talking about. Nev
Yeah,
Campbell. What was that movie? Skyscraper.
there you go.
Skyscraper. I didn't see it, but I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a very bland. Like there wasn't a whole lot of like ha ha ha.
Hmm.
It was a action movie, but it didn't have a lot of ha ha ha. And I think with Dwayne, you need a little ha ha ha, or else it's really hard to go along for the ride.
Yeah, and he's so big. It's hard when you have a look like that because he's so big and so recognizable. It's really hard to not get put in those roles, I would imagine, because people just expect that.
And that's where you gotta give props to like Batista and John Cena, who have cut down their size. So even though they still are big, they don't look as big as they would normally look in their wrestling days.
Yeah.
Because like Batista cut down to like are you sick appearance,
Right.
and also Cena cut down this size, which is kind of crazy because when you see him in like Peacemaker, you're like, he did? He does not look like he cut down his size.
Yeah, he's still big. So, okay, number two. is of course a great actor, The Miz. I'm just kidding. I can't even say that with a straight face. It's not The Miz.
Well, I mean, he can deliver a promo. I mean, if you want to argue it, I would listen.
No, no, it's John Cena. You were hitting it right there. And it's John Cena mainly because he's good in Fast and the Furious, he's good in Barbie, but Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad role, I think that's what he really made that movie. Like so much of that movie works because of him, and it showed so much range. I think that's why I put him above The Rock. Is just that I feel like it's so much easier for him to break out of being John Cena and be an actor. And I don't know what the future is like for him, what he's going to have, but like, I wasn't a Cena guy with wrestling. I know I respect him. I was never a Cena fan. It just wasn't my thing. I was too older. It was more for kids. But as an actor, the guy is like superbly talented. So,
Well, it's one of those like with Cena in the beginning, all he had was that he could talk.
yeah.
Yeah. So, he made up for a lot of stuff like lack of experience through talking,
Hmm.
and cultivated that. And the fact that when you really look at his career, he did have a lot of different flavors to him.
Hmm.
It just wasn't so obvious. Like, from the prototype to, ruthless aggression, John Cena, where he's kind of like, cookie cutter, to Dr. Thugonomics, where he's like busting a rhyme, like yo yo yo, he's doing the,
Hmm.
uh, and then when he was like, hustle, loyalty, respect. I mean, these different little, nuances and like layers,
Right.
you know, there, and so I mean, it was when you examine it again, you're like, oh yeah, look at that. He was different, doing these little different nuanced performances with the same character. But you know, I hated Cena up until like the late 2010s. You know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you
And it's
know,
it's it's really funny too because I know he's talked about this, but he disrespected the fact that he didn't like the fact that The Rock came back and he was a
yeah.
wrestler and The Rock wanted to get the spot in wrestling after being an actor. But it's kind of funny and ironic in a way because now he's an
He's
actor and it's weird. I wonder like how Dwayne. It would be interesting to hear Dwayne like candidly talk about that with him because it's just funny in a way. Like Cena is, I mean, just with that role, he's kind of, in my opinion, past The Rock, just as far as talent with acting, at least as far as
oh
that goes. But
wait, because I mean that's well, because you like what I was saying, like I feel like The Rock needs certain things to have a good Rock movie.
right,
Cena, I'm willing to take so much more in the like I'm willing to give him a little bit more the benefit of the doubt and give him a shot
yeah,
if he tries to stretch a little bit, like when he does a goofy ass comedy. I mean, he's willing to put himself in positions and stuff like that that the Rock does that maybe early Rock would do, but not like now Rock. Now Rock is like protecting the brand type of Rock. Which you kind of learn probably like rubbing up against like Vin Diesel and Jason Statham and all those guys.
yeah,
You know, but
yeah. So
but
number one is it's probably no mystery at this point. It's Batista, hands down. Batista's the best. This guy is like, I just love this guy's story. He gets into wrestling, the power plant. Basically gets kicked out of there. He doesn't like it. He goes to WWE. People say he's not fit for his role. He kind of retires early. He goes to acting. People think there's no way this guy's gonna be good. He proves fucking everybody wrong. Like he literally every movie I see him in, Blade Runner, Glass Onion, Dune, Guardians of the Galaxy, this guy is like, he's not just a wrestler turned actor. This guy is a fucking actor. Like he is really good. I don't know where he ranks for you, but I would imagine it's got to be high.
I don't know, man. I mean, Batista. It's just like you said. Like I feel like before Batista got into wrestling,
Hmm.
he got into wrestling like in his 40s, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe like, I don't know, like, it was like he's like late 30s. I think it was maybe
Hmm.
late 30s and left wrestling in his 40s.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
something like that, where he's like, like people were telling him like, hey, you're a little too old to be doing this, you know. But then succeeded and became champion and became one of the top guys.
Yeah.
And he left because the PG era was kind of coming into gear.
Hmm.
So they weren't doing as much. They weren't doing as like intense stuff anymore. So I think he was kind of like, I'm gonna leave. This doesn't feel the same anymore, you know. And he goes into acting, and he, does, get spots on Smallville. He does the little things, but like, but you could argue that he's got one over on actually. Peacemaker is right now is John Cena's like, oh, that's the role he's known for right now. Peacemaker, he's known for a role.
Right.
Batista got Guardians of the Galaxy. He's known for Drax,
Right.
playing a character, actually playing a character, not just presenting his personality. He's known for playing Drax,
Yeah.
and everything after that, either he's doing a fun movie that's fun, or he does something and tries to stretch out his muscles, like with Blade Runner.
Yeah.
That little, I mean that. Did you ever see the short film that comes with Blade Runner?
I don't think I have the new one. No, I've seen the new one, but I haven't seen the short film with it. No.
There's a short film. I think it's on the DVD or something. Where you can see like that's just Batista's character
Oh wow.
before he
Okay.
runs into the bounty hunter,
Oh, nice. I
the
need to
Blade Runner.
watch
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's what made me go like, because I remember when I watched the movie, I was like, I wish there was more of his performance. It's so good, like And then there's a little short film, like, oh, here we go. So, but I mean, and then like, what was something else he did recently that I was like,
He did Knock at the Cabin, which was he was great in that. That
oh
movie,
yeah,
I didn't love the movie, but he was
but he was
awesome in it.
great.
Yeah.
He was great. I mean, and it's like he was even good in that damn Zack Snyder zombie flick.
Yes. I forgot about that. He was great in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was it? Army of the Dead? Army of the Dead, I think. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, he was great in it, and I mean, it's just one of those things where like I give Batista the benefit, like just like with Cena, I'll give him a shot. I see him and I'm like, ooh, what you got going on now?
Yeah. I don't know what it is that James it's funny looking back on Guardians because James Gunn, like, that's kind of brilliant casting him. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something that, like, I don't think anybody knew yet
Well,
with
no,
him, you know?
if memory serves, he didn't want to see Batista.
Oh, wow. Okay. I
He,
wasn't sure.
I think he wasn't sold on him. And then they're auditioning, and like it was just like, oh, and then it just kind of like was clicking.
Hmm.
I think because at the end of the Guardians movie, I think he gave him a championship belt. I
Huh.
think he was dismissing him because he was a wrestler. He's like, "You're gonna show me a wrestler guy? I don't want to see a wrestler guy. I want to see someone, an actor, a performer." Oh, yeah. So he gave him a gift. He gave him a championship belt as a gift.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean that role just when he's like doing this and he's like, why would I motion in his throat? I'm
Why?
like, dude, I know he's in there's a new movie called The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson that's coming out. It's like about
He's in that?
basically, yeah, it's like about an aging stripper, and I think he's like I think he plays like the owner of the strip club in it. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting role, like another dramatic role. He seems like one of those guys that like he's not afraid to do anything. He's not, he doesn't want to be typecast in any way. He's just willing to jump into a role.
Well, yeah. What was it? Onion?
Glass Onion.
Yeah, Knives Out. Yeah, Glass Onion. I mean, he was playing like a dummy in that movie, but he still kind of like gave it his all, and he's kind of, you felt like a little like uh, it's it's like I was saying with Kevin Nash and his interaction with Keanu.
Hmm.
They give to it, and they do that in the central acting thing with it. You get a sense of history,
Yeah.
you get a sense of lived inness. It's like Terry Funk. When you see Terry Funk in Roadhouse,
Hmm.
you do not deny that this guy works in a bar and is throwing some fists.
Oh no, yeah, he looks
Yeah,
legit.
you see, you may have to do some disbelief with the other guys, but with him, you're like, you know, he looks it. He's got it. He's there. He's lived in. Batista does that. Cena does that. Kevin Nash does that. They do it in those little bits. I mean, uh, Cena and Batista are the only ones that I feel that they can do it for an entire movie.
Yeah, for
But
sure. So do you think in
but
a way, like, is wrestling, because I just asked this because I know you've went through this process so much. I mean, could you would you think that wrestling is in a way like their acting school? Like,
oh
is
yeah.
that, or is it just something that maybe translates to acting that they can grow on? I always wonder, you know.
Well, I've always looked at wrestling as barbaric theater,
Yeah,
where I mean, you're going out there, you're telling a story. Either you're telling a story through the promos, through the interactions, or you're telling a story in the ring. And that's the thing where like I get very nitpicky about professional wrestling because professional wrestling can be very. It is a buffet, and you can like check off a lot of different boxes. But I feel like the strongest wrestling tells the story, and the story sticks with you. You know, 'cause it's like oh God, I hate to fucking bring this up, but like Hulk Hogan and Andre. You know, when they like when Andre betrayed Hogan, and he's just like, I want the title, I want the title. And he's like, but why? And then like he like rips. He rips his shirt and he tears the crucifix off his chest. And Roddy Piper's there like, it's like, Hogan, Hogan, do you have an answer? Do you have an answer? Well, why? Why? He's like, what's the answer? What's the answer? It's like, yes!
yeah,
That
great.
shit stays with you.
Oh
That
yeah.
stays with you. And that's the stuff. It's the build up to the match, and the match is supposed to be the top. It's supposed to be the blowout.
Hmm.
But it's the lead up and it's story around that sticks with you. And then the match and then the stories and the match is supposed to enhance the story that's being told.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is acting. But the thing is being able to transition that to uh the screen. Like I did a short I did a small part in a movie called Bring on the Damned,
Hmm.
where I play my segment of the movie was it's an anthology film, and I play a priest who encounters someone who's possessed. Now I'm not the main priest,
Yeah.
so I was like I get demolished by this possessed person.
Hmm.
And I was talking with my buddy Zach, and my Zach was like, you met your energy matched her, dude. And I was like, I broke it down to him like this, dude. It was just a squash match before the pay-per-view, man. That's all it was. I had to put
Wrestling
her over.
terms.
I had to put her over. The scene in my head is like I have to put her over to add weight to the big pay-per-view match.
Right.
You know, that's how I broke it down in my head because it's like it's a small part, but
Hmm.
but just like what wrestlers do with their small, like like a wrestling mentality is like, well, you know what, I'm gonna get my shit in somehow, you know, and it just like and you break it down in wrestling like that. If you can bring the wrestling psychology to filmmaking because they do work, they're performance based.
Yeah.
You can bring it over if you can figure out where in between the lines, because look at like, wrestlers do like 20-minute monologues in front of the ring. And sometimes you can see someone when they're struggling, but then you got like guys like Cena who can go out there and just kind of flow
Hmm.
and then who can also roll with the punches if something happens,
Hmm.
So it's stuff like that. I mean, that's why like Roman Reigns, the new big guy, he's finally figured that out, you
Hmm.
know. And,
Do you
and
think that, like, in a way, like for you personally, has watching wrestling kind of helped you understand acting more? Has it
yeah,
influenced you in any way? I wondered,
yeah.
like, the fan.
Well, yeah, my growing up, my Triple H was my was someone that I kind of gravitated to
Hmm.
from because I got my first wrestling videotape from like before the Attitude Era was Triple H's. It's my time,
Hmm.
and it was actually like kind of it was like the first one that broke kayfabe.
Yeah.
a little bit, where like they were following him on the road. It was him and China in the back of the car going like, "Hey man, we gotta go this town. We gotta go to that town. We gotta like it was like just talking about like just working at the the business
Hmm.
and how much time they put into it and the thought process and the stuff and everything. And it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
It stuck with me him talking about it more so than and that's before I got into acting. And then when I got into acting, I had to find something to latch on to. And I thought of Triple H and how he approached wrestling. And then I just said, okay, I'm just going to do that.
Interesting.
You know,
Okay.
well, because like, I mean, as much flack as Triple H gets, I mean, he does know how to put somebody over and make somebody look good, even if he wins at the end by disparaging means. He knows how to make somebody look good, and the psychology that's told in a match. Because that the longevity of that will get you farther than like because uh like if you take like Stone Cold and The Rock,
Right.
if you think about Stone Cold's prime, like his like big prime,
Hmm.
it was like 5 years.
Right.
5 years before he had to retire at 38.
Hmm.
When you think of that, like, wait, Stone Cold retired at 38?
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then The Rock, maybe similar ballpark. You know, he flared up right after Rock, right after Stone Cold, and kind of left at the same time, even though he's come back every once in a while.
Yeah.
But he also had that same kind of like 4 to 5 years where he was hot. So if you can stick around for longer than that, solely on just working the story aspect of it,
Hmm.
and that's something to examine. I mean, that's why guys like the Ric Flair stayed pretty relevant for a long time, and what was I think somebody else like Randy Orton. Fucking
Yeah.
Randy Orton's still freaking going around. He's all just psychology in the fucking ring.
Oh yeah.
Even though
So,
he can't act to save his fucking life in
ah,
film.
well, I was going to ask. I mean, is there anyone that comes to your mind with wrestlers turned actors that you feel like are worth mentioning? Like really that maybe we didn't talk about that's like really stands out in your mind? Because these was the ones that I thought of, but I was wondering if there's anybody else that you thought, hey, this person needs to be in this list.
Uh, Maybe Edge
Okay. Yeah.
for not and purely for what he did on Vikings. If you ever saw that flick, he was on Vikings for a few seasons.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard he was in that, so he's pretty good in that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. He once again he knows his assignment. It's just knowing your assignment. They just kind of they go into it. And CM Punk on heels. Now on heels, he's playing like a character for laughs, which is kind of like not. He's playing like what was it? Rabbit Rabies Rabbit. He's just like he's playing a crazy character.
I've seen clips of that. Yeah, he's got like
Yeah,
the raccoon thing on him or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And he's just kind of like brother, brother. He's doing the brother, and it's just funny.
That's awesome.
Brother, I gotta tell you, brother. Is it?
Yeah, there's so many guys. I know that there's one guy who was in a lot of movies as a character actor. I don't know if you've ever heard of Toru Tanaka. He's most notably he's the bodyguard in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. The guy that's like Francis is having his bath, the Asian guy at the door.
Uh,
So he was in everything. He was in James Bond movies. He was in Pee Wee. He's like if you look at action movies, that guy has just been in like everything. But it was
oh,
always
oh,
kind of small roles, right?
oh. Taylor Maine.
Oh, Tyler Mane. Yeah, you're right.
Tyler
Yeah,
Tyler Maine. Yeah, Tyler. I don't know
yeah.
why I say Taylor. Tyler
Michael
Maine. Yeah.
Myers. Yeah.
That's all physicality. That's all presence.
Hmm.
Even though I still think like it's too fucking big because you can't fucking hide behind a tree, motherfucker. You're fucking terrible, Michael Myers.
No, he was like 7 feet tall. That was
I was
insane.
like, don't put him behind the fucking tree, Rob. What the fuck's your fucking problem? He fucking sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. What are you doing?
Oh God, yeah, that was another thing about that movie is like why they made Michael a giant like that. It just it's scary, but it's scary for the wrong reasons, right? It's not
What?
Michael,
What?
right?
That was the problem. Is like you're still trying to play from the old Michael playbook of like let's be stealthy and kind of like like is he there? Is he not there? Like the motherfucker's the size of a house.
He's
All right.
huge. Yeah.
Why are you still trying to do that game plan? I mean, like there was like one good scene in the movie. Not that one, well, I mean, yeah, debatable. When Michael like rushes the house and kills the dad and busts in, like that's what you do. Blunt force trauma, boom. That's your Michael. Don't be trying to do I'm in the trees, I'm in the bushes, maybe I'm not. That's not this
Yeah.
Michael. That's not this
No.
Michael.
No. So I know we're running up to an hour. I wanted to kind of give you a chance to promote anything. I know you're doing a lot of movies all the time. I know you're recently in The Power of Positive Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything you want to promote, anything coming up, what projects you got going on?
I got a few things that are like, like don't have their definitive titles at the moment. So, but there's some things coming up. But I mean, Power of Positive Murder, that's the thing right now. Bring on the Damned is like he's actually going around the festivals right now,
Hmm.
and that got some pretty good response. I just watched that at the Museum of the Moving Image in
Okay.
Queens. Yeah, that
Hmm.
just premiered there. So I guess it was in. Can't think of anything. I mean, got Killer Cox is is,
Nice.
is going on, and those fellas. I mean, they're trying to branch out and do a bunch of stuff. So that's why it's like there's a lot of pots going on. It's like,
Hmm.
well, okay. So
Do you think you'll ever do another Return of Nukem High sequel? Is that ever going to happen again, you think, or no?
I don't think so. I mean that one's I don't know. It depends on I mean, it depends on. You mean like doing like the Cretan? You mean
Yeah,
or
like doing another, because they always bring things back, and I just didn't know if there would ever be a plan to do that again. You think, or are they kind of ending that franchise? Of course, if you know something, you don't have to say. I know sometimes these things are like you
I
can't
don't know.
talk about
No,
them, but
there's nothing in that. I mean
yeah,
they have to. I mean for trauma. I mean the amount of because they say like in the editing process is like the last script edition. I mean like drafted script.
hmm,
That's kind of what happens with trauma movies. It's like once it gets in the editing room, it's like, oh, let's see how long we stay in the editing room, and not because of like, it's just like making decisions because like Lloyd sometimes will just want to see every which way it could possibly be.
hmm,
So sometimes, I mean, that's why like Shakespeare Shitstorm took a while to come out the first time, and then they put
hmm.
it on DVD. So it's just one of those things where it's like, well, we'll see. But I don't do I like with trauma movies. I do a lot. I do adjacent stuff, but I do adjacent stuff with fellas that I know.
Hmm.
But like straight up like trauma movies, like I'm only gonna do a Cretan thing if like Lloyd's there. But
Yeah,
but yeah.
very cool, man. Well, yeah, we'll have to have you back on, and I love talking wrestling. I'm sure we can find something else of movies related to wrestling. There's such an intertwining thing there. So
Oh no! It's like I said, like I brought like that scene where I was like I'm basically just doing a squash match.
yeah.
Yeah, that I mean that's where I mean you bring it up like hey this is just this that and this. It's actually I think I think whenever I have to do choreography in the movies I've done, I've always brought in wrestling psychology.
Okay.
You know, I'm like you're gonna beat me up here, and then I'll make the comeback at the end. You know,
Hmm.
I basically I literally said that. It's like I'm gonna come back here and so make the comeback. You
That's
know,
awesome. All
so
right. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and for me and Vito, we'll see you on the next go round. Later.